Welcome back, everybody. Moving on to section 11.5 today. Okay, talking about volume again, and now we're looking back at pyramids and cones. Objective pretty simple, to find the volume of pyramids and cones. Formula for the volume of a pyramid, we'll start with that, is just 1/3 times the product of the base and the height of the pyramid. Okay, so 1/3 times big B as in area of the base, area of the square on the bottom, times height as in height of the pyramid. And let's do that in a problem. Okay, a little applied problem for you. It says the Great Pyramid of Giza is the largest of the original 7 wonders of the world. The pyramid originally had the dimensions shown below. What was the approximate volume of the pyramid? Okay, what's the volume of this pyramid here? Formula we just gave you is V is equal to 1/3 times B times H. And for this one, looks like we have everything we need. I've got the third. We'll multiply that by the area of the base. Now when we say area of the base, we're talking about area of this square at the bottom. Okay, and I know the side length is 755.5, so we'll say 755.5 squared. That's going to give me that area of the base. And then times the height, that's the 48 we have right here, or not 48, sorry, 485. And I should just be able to plug that all into my calculator one step. 1 divided by 3 times 755.5 squared times 485. And when I do that, I end up with a 92276,140. All right, so that's in 92 million some feet to the third. Okay, to put all that stuff in the pyramid. All right, moving on to problem 2. Let's show you how we can make these problems a little bit trickier. Okay, again, if I want to find the volume of this pyramid, I'm going to use the formula V equals 1/3 times base times height. Okay, and remember with a pyramid, there's actually 2 types of height. There's the slant height down the side, down the face of the pyramid. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. For this formula, we need the regular height. We need to know what the distance from the bottom to the top through the middle is. Okay, to do that, just like we did in our surface area section, I can set up Pythagorean theorem, where I have a triangle with a hypotenuse of 25. I have a side length of, if I take this 40 divided by 2, they'll give me 20. And then a height of h. And I can say h squared plus 20 squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared, 25 squared. And solving this then, we'll show all the steps. H squared plus 400 is equal to, I think I know 25 squared. Let me double check. 625. All right, subtract 400 from both sides. We get h squared is equal to 225. And if I square root that on both sides of the equation, I get h is equal to 15. All right, so my actual height then is 15. Okay, let's plug that in. Volume equals 1/3, okay, times area of the base, so that'd be 40 squared. Okay, times height of the pyramid, which would be a 15. And again, I can just do that all in one step. When I do that, I end up with 8,000, what do we have, feet to the third here. All right, so there you go, and that's about as tough as we can make a problem like this, just basically where we give you the wrong height, and you've got to solve for that first. All right, part B is the same idea. Okay, why don't you take a minute, pause the video, work through part B, and then hit play to check your answer. All right, so going through part B, once again, we've got the wrong height. I know my slant height. I need to find this height right here. Okay, to do that, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. And one thing to watch for, I'm not going to use the 5 for a side length. I'm going to use half of that as a 2.5 for that triangle. And then I'll say that 2.5 squared plus h squared is equal to 8 squared. Okay, I'm going to subtract 2.5 squared from both sides. I'm going to say h squared is equal to 8 squared minus 2.5 squared. And I'm just going to leave them in that form. I'm then going to take the square root and just plug this all into my calculator in one step. Okay, usually the less time you push buttons, the less chances for mistakes. So we'll say square root of 8 squared minus 2.5 squared. That gives me not a nice number. So I'm going to say 7.599. I'm going to round that intermediate answer to 3 decimal places just to keep my final answer as accurate as possible. And to me, that's the hard part. From there, it's just a matter of using this equation, 1/3 times big B for area of the base times h for the height. So we can say volume is equal to 1/3 times area of the square base will be 5 squared. Okay, times that height we just found, the 7.599. All right, when I plug that all in, I end up with a 63.3 meters to the third. All right, the other thing we're going to talk about, like we said, was finding the volume of a cone. Now remember, a cone you can think of just as a circular pyramid. Okay, a pyramid with a circle for a base. So we expect the volume formula to be the exact same thing, 1/3 times area of the base times the height, where the area of the base is the area of a circle. So in other words, pi r squared. 1/3 times pi times radius squared times height would be another way you could write this formula. All right, so let's find the volume of this little drinking cup here. Okay, we've got our dimensions. Now, first thing to ask yourself with a pyramid problem or a cone problem, whether you're talking surface area or volume, is do I have the right height? Okay, I do not, once again, for this one. I need the height to the base running down the middle. I've got the slant height, so we're going to need to solve once again. We need to figure out what h is. Looks like 8 is the diameter of the cone, so we use the 4 for the side of a right triangle. So I can say h squared plus 4 squared is equal to 11 squared. And since this is the third time we've done this today, I'm going to skip a few steps. I'm going to subtract 4 squared from both sides. I'm going to take a square root of both sides of the equation. I'm going to say h is equal to the square root of 11 squared minus 4 squared. And I'm going to plug that directly into my calculator the way I see it there. And I end up with a 10.247. Once again, rounding that intermediate answer to 3 decimal places. Having issues here. All right, once we have that, we can find the volume. Volume is equal to 1/3 times area of the base times the height. All right, so 1/3 times area of the base, in other words, area of the circle here. I know area of a circle is pi r squared, so we'll say pi times 4 squared. And then times the height we just found, the 10.247. All right, then as far as this answer goes, I'd say it doesn't really make sense to leave in terms of pi. Pi is meant to make things nicer. Okay, this number here is going to make it so that the number won't be nice no matter what. So I'm just going to multiply everything through 1 divided by 3 times pi times 4 squared times the 10.247. And when I do that, I end up with a 171.7, we could say, centimeters to the third. Okay, when you're doing homework, when you're working through quizzes or tests, make sure you do pay attention to do we want it in terms of pi or not. This one doesn't specify. Again, I'm going to say it doesn't make sense just because it's going to be an ugly number anyways. Last problem for the day then, find the volume of the oblique cone. Oblique just means that it's shifted off to the side. Okay, notice the height isn't going straight through the center. Okay, the cone is slanted. Now for volumes, whether we're talking a right cone or an oblique cone, same thing with pyramids, the volume is going to be the same. Okay, so we're going to use our same formula. V equals 1/3 times area of the base times the height. And for this one, I do have the correct height. I've got the 25 running down the middle. So we can just plug things in here. 1/3 times area of the base. That's going to be pi times radius squared. So in this case, if this whole line's 30, we'll say 15 is our radius. All right, then times 25. And this one says to leave the answer in terms of pi. And I'm going to say that makes sense just because I'm going to get a nice answer from here. There's no rounding. So if I go 1 divided by 3 times 15 squared times 25, that's going to give me a 1,875 pi feet to the third. Again, pay attention to, does the question want things in terms of pi or not? All right, there you go. There's volume of pyramids and cones. Hopefully you don't think that was too bad. Hopefully you're seeing how it kind of builds off a lot of the other sections we've done so far. So, like usual, give the homework a shot. Let us know if you're stuck. We'll see you guys later.